This month, we're going to talk about pitch decks and give you guys a little behind the scenes of how we build them and the elements that go into them. Okay, so first, what is a pitch deck? It's the primary marketing asset that we use to drive investor interest in the deal. So some best practices that we've learned and tried to refine over each deal. First is to know your audience or avatar. So you want to figure out really specifically what niche that you're going after or what demographics your investor looks like. Second, come up with some kind of company summary sentence that represents your purpose as an organization. For us, it's creating financial freedom and generational wealth through value-add multifamily properties. And then you want to have some kind of investment summary. You want to really keep this tight, so clear and concise, not too many words there, because, well, most people don't like to read too much. So that leads me to my next point of try to use as many visuals as possible, such as property photos, video, 3D tours. And we usually like to invest in media because I feel like visuals is the best way to tell a story of the deal. So we like to get drone footage, 3D tour, professional photos, videos, and renderings if possible. That really helps to illustrate the deal and kind of the overall picture better than words can. And this is something that we've learned over each deal is to try to focus on quality over quantity, because a lot of investors don't have too much time, so they don't really want to be reviewing every little detail. And the purpose of the pitch deck isn't really to provide every single detail about the deal. It's just more to invoke interest for further discussion. So quality over quantity there. All right, so some elements that we always try to have in every pitch deck is first an executive summary. So these are the highlights of the deal, just a broad high level. And then next is the property overview section, which can include images of the property itself, graphics to show kind of how the property is positioned relative to the market, a map showing the location of the property and other amenities around the area. Next is a market and submarket analysis. So here we usually like to include economic metrics such as household income, population growth, employment growth, and area photos showing the highlights and amenities of that market. And then into the meat of the presentation is the business plan. So that's where we showcase our strategies and timeline for executing those strategies. And next is financials. So this section can be quite long because there's a lot of numbers that go into pitching a deal. So first, debt terms. So you really want to spell out what kind of terms you've secured for the debt. Income and expenses, both the current income and expenses and the pro forma ones that we projected, some kind of sensitivity analysis and comp analysis. So rent comps, sale comps, and by sensitivity analysis, I mean, what happens if you change a certain variable? What are the resulting return metrics? And of course, a waterfall to really be transparent to investors. You want to showcase what exactly is the waterfall in each of the different scenarios. So cash flow, refinance versus sale. And last section is the team. So that would include photos and short bios for each of the team members, both on the GP and any vendors you use, such as property management. Okay, so how do you actually build it? So I feel like there are three ways to look at this. Either you can do yourself. So that's going to take a lot more time to research and pull together all these different elements and put it together, which is probably going to be cheap or free. And then there's the outsourcing method, on the other side of the spectrum, where you could just completely outsource this whole process to a firm to handle the design, the research, and all that stuff, or somewhere in between. So we kind of like this hybrid approach where we outsource certain elements, and then as far as the structure, we handle that in-house. So that deck template has evolved over the deals, and we usually try to just outsource the elements that make sense, and whatever can't be outsourced, we keep that in-house. So as far as DIY tools, if you go in that route, some of the most common tools for decks are PowerPoint and Google Slides. Most people have heard of that. But Canva can also be used for this purpose. Canva has templates for decks on there. The current tool that I'm presenting on right now is Dectopus. It's a little obscure tool. I like it because it limits the choices. So the design elements are already kind of done for you, and you only have so many different options to input the data. So it's a little bit easier for certain purposes. I don't use Dectopus for our investment pitch decks. For that, we use Google Slides because I like having a little more control. Google Earth is also good for the map, and Pictochart for creating infographics. I've used that for some of our announcement emails, and for our, in addition to the pitch deck, we also have a one-pager, which I like to design on Canva. All right, and then if you're going to go the outsourcing route, it obviously ranges from really cheap, like Fiverr, all the way up to something like pitchdecks.com, where they do everything for you. It's going to be a lot more expensive. Some of the other options are Upwork. It's a little higher quality than Fiverr. You can look for design companies that specialize in designing for real estate deals. And of course, asking around, networking for referrals for designers. So lots of different options there. It really depends on the equity that you're raising, as far as like how much of a budget you can allocate towards this purpose. But the investment generally is worth it, and usually get what you paid for. Okay, so now I'm going to run through the flats at Rutgers just as an example to show you one of our pitch decks. So cover page, I have our mission statements, the cover photo, disclaimer with table of contents, and then the investment thesis. So it's kind of high level, and a graphic to show the investor experience. So how you would actually join us in one of these deals, and reporting. So we usually like to do reporting monthly for the first 12 months with webinar updates and detailed financial reports every quarter. So we like to be as transparent as possible with investors and tell them what they can expect. And then some graphics on the area, Roanoke, a map with the overview of the area, and some stats that we pulled from CoStar, show the demographics and the income and those kind of numbers, and reasons for investing in this deal. And this map I built on Google Earth. And then we have a drone video, 3D tour. And this is the high level for the investment with the various financial metrics. And then we have the capital stack, the legal structure, and the waterfall, and a business plan. And here's like a timeline of that business plan. A Gantt chart to show how we're going to execute the CapEx projects, CapEx budget, some renderings on what the new property is going to, or what the property is going to look like after we're done with all the renovations and upgrades. Some rent comps, sales comps, and pro forma financials to showcase where we're at now and where we project to be in the future after stabilization. And then the slide that everyone really cares about is the investor returns. So we like to show what the investor's return looks like over time, and how that's allocated to between preferred return versus cash flow versus equity buildup. And sensitivity analysis. So we like to see how the IRR is affected by certain metrics like rent growth or exit cap rate, stabilized vacancy, and hold period. And then the last section is on the team. So photos and short bios and property management as well. That's the portal and then the contact page.